On this week's episode, we do cover a range of sensitive topics that could be triggering to some listeners. It's a very open conversation about mental health, and it does touch on toxic relationships, eating disorders, grief, and sexual assault. If this is too much for some, we just wanted to give you a little heads up before we start, just to make you aware.
Welcome to the Gal Code, our place where we come together and discuss hot topics, our weekly shenanigans, and the Gal Code, our rules to live by.
Hosted by me, Rob Gartland.
And me, BB Bagnall.
We're here to bring you endless laughter, life lessons, and a good old gossip that only the best of gals could have. So without further ado, let's get started.
Oh, did you hear that? We caught you off guard. A cheeky new little introduction.
Ooh. How are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like the tables have turned this week because you're hungover and I'm fine.
I'm dying.
You're not okay.
I drank 25 Aperol Spritz yesterday.
25?
25 and then tequila.
Oh, no, not tequila, no.
I did my record, but 25 Aperol Spritz is not going to make you feel that great.
Oh, I'm surprised you made it here.
I know. Thing is, I was supposed to be doing sober October. No, sober September.
I nearly died. I was like, it's October.
2 weeks. I'm thinking 2 weeks ago on this, I was like, I'm going to do sober September.
How's that going for you, hon?
Well, clearly it failed gracefully, gradually.
Greatly.
That's the word I was looking for. It's been a disaster, to be honest. But I didn't drink Monday through Friday.
See, that's really good because I did all my drinking during the week this week. I don't know. I'm not going to stop, obviously, but I need to watch it because I've noticed that the next day my mood just plummets and it's like hangover, depression. I'm just not a vibe. And then a couple of days later I'll get horrible anxiety. So I'm just like, do you know what? I'm going to reel it in. I'm pretty sure I said this last weekend and I had quite a hard one this week. So,
Was last weekend bank holiday weekend?
No.
Was it 2 weekends ago?
Maybe 3 weekends ago.
Oh, wow, okay. Have you been doing anything with your fun week?
I feel like there's a little bit of, you know the answer to that question.
Oh, he does, but he's making a little interlude.
Okay, so I've been dating this week.
That's so fun.
Which makes me feel like we should have maybe recorded a dating episode another time.
We could do a part 2.
We could definitely do a part 2.
Absolutely. You see, if we're going to do a part 2, I need to start dating again.
Well, this is what I'm basically, because I was very anti. I was just like, ooh, no. And then, because I have quite a fear of dating, I'm like, do you know what? I actually just need to go out there and do it. Because I did think, if there is another lockdown, I need to, make the most of this time now.
Yeah.
It's just character building. It's quite fun having attention, not gonna lie.
And also, I think you're in a really good place for it at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was saying this to my friend, you shouldn't go shopping when you're hungry, so you shouldn't go dating when you're thirsty. When you're desperately looking for something, you shouldn't do it because you're going to find the wrong vibe.
Yeah, this is definitely the best mental place I've been in that aspect. So
love that.
I've kind of just been throwing myself out there.
So should we dive fully into our weeks and do Pit and Peak? Oh my gosh,
yeah, let's do Pit and Peak.
So, peak of the week is that I made my television debut.
What?
I featured on the 10 p.m. news as a flouting Londoner sat outside of Soho living his life.
Did you post this on social media? I feel like I've not seen this.
I didn't because I was told. I got on my phone, just boom, boom, boom. I was like, what's going on? There was Rob living his life, drinking his green tea in the sun,
editing the Gal Code?
Yes, I was.
That's so
just
funny.
Sat there delving it in on the 10 p.m. news.
Have you got a photo?
No.
Oh.
No one could go back, and then my mum spent hours trying to find it and she couldn't find it, but there I was.
That's so funny.
So yeah, look out for me, guys. It's always Soho. I feel like it's a bit of a hate crime.
Well, I feel like everyone's kind of hating Soho at the moment because it is still so busy.
It's just always Soho every time. But
yeah.
I mean, I did see all the cameras, pop the sunglasses on, made myself feel presentable. But there I was, living my best life. But my pit of the week did happen in Soho as well.
Oh,
so
God.
Soho is kind of like my local runway. So whenever I feel like I want to just have a sort of confidence boost, I strut up and down there, hike my shorts up higher than a waist, and just go for it. So I left the supermarket on one end of Soho, pop on a good song. I actually popped on the theme tune to The City. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh, that was the follow-on from The Hills, wasn't it? I watched a few.
And the song is like, I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of... Pussycat Dolls sing it.
Love
so
that.
I have that blasting through my headphones, and I pulled my shorts up and strutted the whole street. And I felt amazing. I was like, I'm getting attention, I'm feeling really good, real vibes. And when I got home, my flatmate came in behind me. He was like, Rob, your shorts tucked into your underwear, and the bottom of my short was tucked. And these aren't like long boxers; these are like briefs. Like these are like halfway up my bum, and I like pull them down. And I'd walked the whole of the street with the bottom of my butt cheek just hanging out. And no one even stopped me to offer me anything. What a cheek.
That is so
But I
funny.
think it's because I walked at such a pace. Like, I was strutting. Like, I stomped down there thinking it was, like, literally like my catwalk. That nobody probably could stop me at that point. They're just like, there he is. He's
That
going.
is hilarious.
Probably didn't look out of place with some of the other people in Soho.
I was going to say, yeah, probably the best place to do it.
I didn't even feel a breeze.
Oh, that's comical.
It was quite something.
Oh, bless you, hon.
On a Thursday. Who needs
Thirsty
that?
Thursday.
Well, yeah. Soho life.
Oh, God.
How about you?
Okay, so my peak. So me, Meg and Al went to, we like to book for some reason, like a bougie dinner, like once a month, just to give us something to, not look forward to, but get dressed up for.
Yeah.
We like to have a little bit of luxury in our life.
You all looked fab.
Thanks. I mean, so we all put a selfie on together and we all look the same.
You looked like siblings, I
Yeah,
felt. Yeah.
yeah.
Was everyone in the same colour as well?
Yeah, we all wore black slip dresses.
All on brand.
Okay, so we went to Madison's at St. Paul's, which is like quite gorgeous because it's like a rooftop.
Yeah, it's such a nice restaurant.
It's lovely. And we were sat there, we were like loving life. And then Meg was saying, she was like, oh, I love it. You know, like in restaurants where men send a bottle of champagne over to the table and you're like, love for that to happen. But obviously things like in films never happen. Anyway, fast forward to kind of doing dessert. And this lady brings over a tray of shots.
Right.
Like Cafe Patron. When I'm like, who's at the shots? And there's a table of like 3 guys kind of diagonal to us.
Okay.
And they look quite fit. We're like, oh, city boys.
Okay.
City boys sending us Cafe Patron.
No, it's probably dressed very nicely.
Yeah, from afar.
Oh no. Oh no.
So we nod over, cheers, do the shot. Fun. Is there going to be another? Like, are they going to come over? Like,
Yeah.
what's the crack? And because I even texted
Well,
you.
technically you'd be a group of 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I texted you being like, oh my God, love it. The city boys are ordering us shots.
Yeah.
Like, it's great for the podcast.
Literally.
And then the next morning I messaged you and I was like, this actually totally backfired.
Yeah.
So basically, so my peak is that was just so much more fun. And then I guess my pit
Oh no.
is one of them came over. So there's 3 of them and we were like, oh God, that short one. No, he's not good looking. And he's the one who came over. And actually had quite a good personality. And then there was another tray of shots that came over. And we were like, so you're just going to leave your other 2 friends over there? Da, da, da. And we all like sat on these sofas like overlooking St. Paul's. It was lovely. The ones that we'd mentally picked out, girls, we defo do this. We are like, oh, yep, that one there. Like,
Yep.
that's mine, whatever. I'm not joking. I get up close and I'm like, no. And he's like, I'm called Phil. I'm like,
Oh no.
Phil, no,
No.
Phil. Phil, it's very quiet for you. I'm like, he's the only tall one. Then the other one is from Essex. No shame to people from Essex at all, but my ex is from Essex and I
Yeah.
just wouldn't touch anyone from Essex for barge pole at this rate 'cause it just gives me bad vibes.
PTSD.
PTSD of, yeah. And I went to the loo and as I sat down, they were like fascinated as to what our jobs were.
Right.
And then I just heard one of them go like, oh, I feel really stupid now. That's when I've got the ick.
Yeah.
I do not need you to be intimidated. And it was just so rogue. And then they were like, oh, so how do you know each other then? And we were like, oh, like we live together. The only way we could describe their reaction, like their eyes went
no.
wide.
Oh.
You know in Love Actually, when he goes to America
Yeah.
and there's the girls. She's like, we're all roommates. And, it's like, and sometimes we get so cold, like we don't even wear our clothes or something like that. That is how they were.
Ew.
At the thought of 3 of us, I was just like,
Creepy weirdos.
weird.
Yeah.
Abort mission.
Abort.
And then
Did
one
they
of
ask
them,
for your numbers or
well,
anything?
Phil, the one who was with me, asked Al for her number.
What?
Yeah, and then she did give it to him, but because I was like, why did you do that? She was like, I don't know what to do, and I would say I'm quite ballsy and honest. I was like, I would have said no. Honestly, it was so joke. We had such a nice girls' evening. Also, every time we go out for one of these bloody dinners, they tell the waitress that it's my birthday.
I love that. I think that's fantastic.
And they're like, who's the birthday girl? I'm like, apparently me.
Here we go
I've
again.
had 3 birthdays this year.
But you get a free dessert.
Yeah, a little bit of, the plate with the squiggly writing and
Yeah.
a scoop of ice cream. Love it.
At least it's not walls. Like, you should be happy, bunny. A little bit of vanilla.
It's sorbet.
Oh, treats.
But yeah, no, I just thought how that turned in from like, woo, we're loving the hashtags city boys. And that just totally did a 180. I thought that was quite
Emphasis
comical.
on boys.
Yeah.
Should we get into today's topic?
Okay.
Today's topic is learning to accept the skin you're in.
Oh.
We'll be right back. Head across to Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, or even just shout at Alexa, and she will play our podcast for you every Wednesday. Click subscribe and leave a review.
YouTube.
Oh yeah, and we're on YouTube now. So we are back with today's topic, and we are going to talk all things learning to accept the skin you're in. And you actually touched on this on your blog, didn't you?
My How to Stop Caring About What Other People Think of You blog post. So I guess some rationale behind that. What actually triggered that was, it was when TikTok was like starting to become a thing, and people were like, oh my god, if you're over 20 on TikTok, then something's wrong with you. And I kind of was just like, oh, sod it. I don't really care. And then I got my first collab situation, and it was from Beauty Bay. That made me think that if I actually cared about what others thought of me and was like, oh my god, no, TikTok's cringe, everyone says it's cringe, I'm not going to do it, then that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And that just kind of made me think about all the things that maybe I would have missed out on if I stopped to think. Obviously, I do. It's not like I'm really arrogant. I live in my own BB bubble. That's not what I'm saying. But it's sometimes people can spend so much time worrying about what others think of them that it stops them from doing things. I think, and to bring that into like a body aspect, when I used to have quite bad skin, I would get so bogged down about it. And I guess, yeah, of course it looks bad when you've got your mirror in front of a face picking out every little pore. But actually, when you think about when you have a conversation with someone, they are not actually right in your face like that. So, like, I kind of started to just think, like, well, yeah, of course, these are going to feel like huge spots to me, but from a reasonable, normal distance, they're not.
Yeah.
And also, I remember my ex, he was the one who used to use the word acne. I never used the word
Really?
acne. I used to say I had spots, and he was the one who'd be like, why would I fancy you? You're covered in acne, and say really horrible things. If I like said, oh, like, why are you messaging this girl, accusing him of cheating, and he'd be like, oh, maybe because she's a pretty girl, not an acne covered.
Are you kidding?
Like you are.
That's so disgusting.
So nasty. So it wasn't really until then that I actually really got bogged down about it. The fact that I had that, I was labelled an ugly acne person. That used to really
By
annoy
someone
me.
who's supposed to really care for you.
Yeah, I guess that's why I feel quite passionate as to like people shouldn't feel disgusting just because they have spots. It can make you feel really, really horrible, and I know that because I've been there, but like it's just really just not worth it. I don't look at someone and feel like, oh my god, look how disgusting their skin is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, I don't think that people are thinking that of you.
So when you were growing up, was that your biggest body hang-up or
Not really.
appearance hang-up you had?
I feel like I didn't have acne until my early 20s. I feel like puberty hit me more in my early 20s than my late teens.
Oh, really?
I got boobs in my early 20s.
Phenomenal.
It was wild.
It's like a little surprise at the end.
Yeah, and then the spots came with it. But if you're talking high school and stuff, I don't think I was ever body conscious during high school, but I think that's probably because my family are tall and thin. It's a genetic thing. We have quite fast metabolisms. My dad and my brother have a genetic thing where they can't actually put on weight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I guess at the moment, I feel like body types, they're fashion trends. And when we were in high school, the fashion trend was tall, skinny, and then it was when Tumblr did that whole thigh gap situation.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that vibe. And that kind of was my body, so I never felt self-conscious about it. I always felt like in my face really ugly, and I never, ever felt attractive. So I guess if you talk about your body, that's like for me, like head down.
Yeah, of
but
course,
like, I
everything.
hated the way I looked, like face-wise.
It's appearance, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
how we perceive ourselves and the importance that we put on the way that we look to define how important we are.
Yeah. And then I feel like now today's body fashion trend, whatever you want to call it, has slightly changed. And I don't have that kind of body, so I feel more self-conscious now.
Do you?
Because I feel like boys and stuff, because this body is what they always see on Instagram, you know, it's the filler, it's the thick thighs, tiny waist.
It's like an extreme hourglass.
Extreme hourglass,
Yeah.
you know, like lip filler, chin filler, jaw
Filler.
It's just everything. And then I get, because I'm not like that, I'm a bit like, oh God, maybe I'm not attractive because I don't look like that. It's fucked.
Because I remember we had a conversation once, and you were talking about bodies, and you were basically saying that you didn't realize how different all women's bodies were until you got changed in a changing room.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that sticks out in my brain.
Yeah, it was when I was in my gym in North London, and
This is a few years ago
yeah,
we had this conversation.
when I was with the shithole ex who made me feel shit about myself. Basically, yeah, I'd gone to the gym and there was just women of all ages in
Yeah.
there, And I like looked around and I was just like, oh my God, women's bodies are so different. And even when I was in the gym this morning, same thing. It's actually nuts. I really thought all women kind of looked the same. Like,
Yeah.
it really weird.
But I think that's because of what we see in the media, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Because I know as a boy, I feel like there's one body type that is pushed everywhere, especially in like movies, television, everything. Like we grew up in Geordie Shore era of boys who looked like they'd swallowed 12,000 steroids and covered themselves in St. Moritz.
Yeah.
And if you watch any movie, you have the toned, attractive male lead and the fat friend.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because even with the trend, people manage to achieve the goal and then it changes.
Well, this is what I noticed on Instagram. Obviously, everyone kind of was really going after the Kardashian style body, which
Yeah.
I have a bit of an issue with because that's just appropriating the features of black women. And they're just taking the ones that they like and just put them on their face to suit them, and it's ridiculous. And then now I'm seeing a more shift into like the Scandi girl, and everyone's really going down the Scandi route, and I'm like, it's actually weird how it is a trend. But then you go back in history and you do look, and if the eras of the 20s, 30s,
Yeah.
60s, 70s, there was different shapes. It was apparently seen really like desirable to be overweight because that was a sign that you could afford to eat.
Yeah, because then you have with body perceptions, I think we've got into this new era now. And I remember there was a Glamour magazine cover that came out with Tess Holliday on the cover.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and
that.
It was so controversial.
It was because she's so overweight to the point it was, are you advertising obesity
Exactly.
at this point? Which
And
then
same
the argument against was, well, you have all these skinny underweight people. And I, as someone who's slim, I got quite offended by it because I just feel at the moment, if you're slim, there's a lot of people who like kind of just put it as like unhealthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like we can talk about body shapes. Can we not shame other body shapes
Yeah.
whilst you're trying to spread body
Exactly.
positivity? That's what really gets to me. Now that one literally was like, I think like a fat versus skinny row on social media.
Yeah, and it's just that knowledge of people who are slim have been represented, and people who
Yeah.
are slim are aware of that, or should be aware of it. Because I know when I was 22.5 stone at my biggest, and I was way more secure in myself, way more confident in myself. And then when I began to lose weight, one thing that really became quite toxic is the positive affirmations you get from people.
Yeah.
So when I started losing weight, everyone was like, oh, why did you start this? Why did you start this? And I was like, oh, I just picked up some trainers one day and was like, I'm going for it. But it all stemmed from a sexual assault and trying to take back control.
Yeah.
And I grabbed hold of it and then went for it. And I think losing weight, you pick up compliments from so many people.
Yeah.
And it becomes an addiction to feel like, oh, I'm going to get skinnier. Oh, I'm going to be more attractive. Oh, people are really liking this. When I first lost my first 6 stone, it was healthier. And then I hit like the summer and it became this, and I had my 21st birthday and I put a photo on Instagram and I felt amazing about it and it got loads of attention.
Yeah.
And then all I kept thinking was, this needs to, like, I need to keep going.
Yeah.
I need to keep going. And I just got myself into such a bad place purely because it felt like I was being accepted for the first time.
Yeah.
And then where that turned into was this one in need for 3-4 years now to constantly feel like I need to lose weight to feel good about myself, to feel confident, because that did instill this need to feel like that's the only way I was going to be accepted.
Do you know what, it's really weird? I've kind of laid back off posting on Instagram as much because I used to post every day. I noticed that I was getting my feed for like, that was making me feel good about myself because like, oh, all the likes are coming out. So I'd be like, oh my God, this person liked that photo, this person liked my photo. And then when Instagram started to like screw me over for the algorithm where like my photos weren't going out there as much, I was getting so sad about my photos
really?
not getting likes. But I was being like, oh my God, I'm struggling to get 100 likes, whereas maybe that's because it's not a nice photo. So I actually kind of just reined it back in. I went to post on Instagram today and I deleted it straight after, and I was just like, yeah, do you know what it is? It's just I'm just not enjoying it. It's really weird.
Jumping off that with social media, that's why whenever I've had to like mute and block every before and after picture.
I find before and after pictures quite awful because I feel like in your before picture you're almost shaming the before.
Yep. You don't know what gets people, because I know that's exactly right, because you don't know what gets people from point A to point B and the journey they've been on. And I've spent the past 4 years in eating disorder therapy because of I shamed myself so much and made so many negative connotations towards food, towards exercise and all this other stuff to try and feel good enough. And it all stems from me shaming that person who I was and trying to fight against it.
Yeah.
And it's hard work, and people don't know the story and jump in and say comments and things like that. And that goes to the social media point of creating a safe bubble and removing things that are toxic.
Yeah.
Because you can find ads that are telling you not to eat for hours on end on TikTok.
Oh my God, I kept getting the intermittent fasting advert on TikTok.
And you think these vulnerable young men and women, because it is men and women, who will see that and think it's a great idea. And it has join fasting with your friends.
It's so bad.
And you link apps with your friends and all just don't eat for 16 hours a day.
So there's this blogger, Instagrammer girl who I'd followed on Instagram for ages. She's got over 10,000 followers. And she posted on her Instagram story, I hate to be that person, but I think documenting it will help. I've put on more weight than I have thought during lockdown, so I've started calorie counting as well to continue my exercising to hopefully lose 1.5 stone. I'm going to share more of what I'm eating and making on here, as I think some of you will be in the same boat as me.
Right.
And it was a screenshot of like my fitness pal. And I replied back to her. And I was really nice. I was like, hey, gorgeous, I just want to say, I think be a bit careful with this. A lot of people may have developed an unhealthy relationship with food, and calorie counting can be very triggering for some. This isn't the first time she'd done something like that. She'd posted something about how she'd starved herself all day to enjoy like her burger or something. That was like 2 years ago. And someone I know messaged her, and she took it really personally. Was really offended.
Really?
She was like, no, what do you mean no one's going to be like offended by this? Some people just don't get it.
Some people just are so unaware.
Yeah.
Like the whole starving yourself to enjoy a cheat meal, that's just so
that's not a good relationship with food.
Exactly, and that's something that's so important. Going through therapy for it, that's the one thing they say, you have to remove all these words that you've placed on food, like cheat, guilt, bad food, good food. We've labeled, no food is a good food or a bad food, but we've labeled that in our heads. And that's what then it creates the triggers and the guilt.
Yeah.
And when people are saying, I'm starving myself all day to enjoy a cheat meal, why is food a cheat?
It's so bad.
A cheat is a negative word.
Yeah.
So you're actively putting that on there to then feel guilty, and then you have that instant feeling in your head that you've done something bad. Because I feel like with things like that, MyFitnessPal life is honestly just, for me, dreadful.
It's terrible. I just don't think... I understand if you use it like...
For people use it for like macros and things like that and all that other stuff. But we shouldn't be obsessively focused on anything to that degree.
Yeah.
And you end up scanning barcodes and adding every single gram and inch of things. Inch?
Every weight gram.
Yeah, gram. God, he's a little slow today. Every gram into an app to then track how much you've done, and then people. Bad. And I've done it before, and you're just miserable.
Yeah,
like truly miserable, because food should be enjoyed. It's there to help you live and to help you stay alive, but you can also enjoy a social aspect of it.
Yeah.
And when you're calculating every single second thing you eat, it just becomes obsessional.
Yeah.
I always say food is the only addiction you have to live with.
Oh.
You can give up alcohol. You can give up drugs. You don't have to gamble. But if you have an unhealthy relationship with food, you can't live without food.
Yeah.
So you have to try and learn to manage something. And that can be really hard. Because imagine if you were dependent on alcohol and you had to have it to live, and you had to find a way to balance something you had an unhealthy relationship with, but you still had to face it every single day.
Oh, God.
That's the bigger picture. So what you've said to her is fully correct. People need to be more aware.
Yeah. But then I think you just need to kind of think, what is it that's stopping you?
Yeah.
Because for me, it was other people's opinions. So like when I finished school and I wanted to go to college because they did this fashion business course, which was like exactly everything I wanted to do. Whereas like, our school had a really good sixth form, and it was kind of a natural progression to go from school to sixth form. And I think it's fair to say our school was snobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you went to college, it was kind of looked down upon, I found. Like it was
judged.
It was like, oh, that's a stupid thing to do. You're going to do a BTEC. So I did sixth form for 2 weeks, and I hated it. And I knew that what I wanted to do, but if I did A-levels, I'd have to do all the creative ones, and our school was like, don't do more than one creative one because the coursework's too much. So I was like, I'm just setting myself up for failure here. So I went off and did my little fashion business BTEC, and within that, I felt like I got disowned from like my friendship group.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was one time where we basically said we were going to go to Ibiza on a girls' holiday. And I was having, I think, just round at one of my friends' houses. They were like, oh, yeah, we need to do this for Ibiza. And I was like, oh, my God. So, wait, are we going to Ibiza? What? And they were like, oh, yeah, we're going with so-and-so. They didn't want you to come. And I was like, oh, why didn't they want me to come? And they were like, they don't know. They just like said we shouldn't invite you, and I was just like, okay, fine. And I think this might be on the same night I was told this, maybe a different night. And I'd put like a photo on Instagram of like my college outfit, and like I'm a girl who likes fashion. I was doing fashion at college, and basically someone had the photo on their Instagram feed in the common room, and they were all sat around the table being like, oh my God, you see what she's wearing to college?
Really?
And my mum used to always say to me when I was being bullied at school, she was like, do you want to be like these girls? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so why do you care what they think about you? Like, and that's the point. I don't want to be you. I don't want your life.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like you. I don't want to act like you. So why should I care? And I kind of just applied that throughout life. Don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Like,
ooh, I love that.
Have you not heard that saying before?
That could be like a gal code rule.
Maybe that could be. And also, I just think if someone doesn't like you, they've already decided that they don't like you.
Yeah.
So do you want to waste your energy trying to change their mind? No.
Because I feel like, so you said yours was always the opinions of others.
Yeah.
I strangely don't think, I don't know whether, because I said it maybe on the life lessons one, because I felt like I was always playing this character. I think maybe I grabbed my niche and just run with it.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing that held me back was always myself. Always. I was always my own worst critic. And still am to this day. And I think we also as a society really struggle to be compassionate to ourselves.
Oh my God.
If I was to go on a date, more than likely I'll probably cancel the first 2 times because I don't feel good enough in my weight, at least. Then the third time, I will normally send a comment saying, you'll have to ignore how fat I am.
Rob.
Oh, always. And then I'll go, and until I've had a few drinks, we'll probably be on edge about it. And it's my own head. Because from now, like, I finished my... I love therapy. I'm such an advocate for therapy. Everyone go to therapy. It's amazing. If you get your dentist checked twice a year, you should at least check your mental health. But I finished my 3rd block of therapy in lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was probably the first time I've really taken it seriously because I didn't feel like I had any outward voices. And I think that might be why I was so content in lockdown, because I was just me. And I think because the world is so busy and there's pressures and everything, and I actually had to, through that therapy, speak to my people who would bring up weight loss and things to me who are close friends, and I had to turn around and say, I can't talk about this.
That's so good for you. I'm so proud of you for putting those filters in place.
And like even on social media, I've had to block, mute, everything like that, because where I am in life right now is I've the healthiest relationship I've had with food for the longest period of time since I started losing weight. I mean, it's only been like 5 months, but I'm having to accept that this is my recovery body and not putting that against the photos on Instagram that I've posted where I looked the most gaunt and skeletal possible just to feel like I was deserving of likes and attention.
I know I did just talk about before and after pictures, and to be fair, I wouldn't actually say this was a before and after picture, but you know how Instagram does the memories thing?
Yeah.
And mine came up and it was like a shoot that I'd done when I worked for John Lewis for Charlotte Tilbury for the launch of their new foundation. And I remember I had to get my photo taken without makeup on because I wanted to do before and after. You know, Instagram reminded me of like the memory, and I was like, oh my God, it's been a year since I did this. And
sorry, can I quickly ask?
Yeah.
How did you feel when you approached to take like the no makeup photo?
Oh, I was blindsided. I didn't know
That's
what was going to happen.
wondering,
I hated it. So bearing in mind, we're in like, I mean, I know a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury girls because my auntie works for Charlotte Tilbury and I'll model for them now and then when needed, not externally, like internally for like training stuff. And I knew the girl who's done my makeup, she'd done it before. The girls there are so nice. So I was like fine in my environment, but when you go into the studio and it's all professional lights and they had a professional model as well, and it was kind of like the comparison of being put in, like Charlotte Tilbury requested the model. We wanted to have it as a partner.
Yeah.
Whereas it went back and forth so many times and Charlotte Tilbury requested the model. And I was like, oh my God, I'm next to this girl who is fucking like drop dead gorgeous, like naturally beautiful. And I was just like, oh, like she took my makeup off and then they were like, oh, so we're going to take your picture for the before. And I was just like, oh my God. And I just kind of froze. And I was like, I just don't. Yeah. I was like so embarrassed. Whereas like now, that's just so ridiculous because, I mean, I'm not wearing makeup now. I barely ever wear makeup unless I really kind of have to. I remember I got all of the assets from that, and when I left on it, I saved them. Just I don't know why. I was just like, well, I mean, it was Charlotte Tilbury.
Yeah,
like, it was monumental. And then when I got that memory through, and there's like, it was like a video content we did, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much weight on my face, which at the time, I knew I'd put on weight, but it didn't really bog me down that much. And for me, just for some context, I've always been a size 6 or 8, tall, slim. Like I said earlier, that's how my family build is. And for me to then suddenly be like that, oh my God, I was like embarrassed, probably because like the rest of my family is like really slim. And I was just like, oh my God. But I didn't really dwell on it that much at the time. But I was looking back at this photo and I was like, bloody hell, like, I just looked so different. And I did like a little comparison of like my before and after. And even you said you were like, I don't even remember you looking like that. And I was like, I kind of remember feeling horrendous, but during this time was when I was in this horrible relationship.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really have any control over anything. Like, basically, the guy who I was with was so lazy. He would refuse to cook, so I would cook. But like, I like healthy foods. I like eating good foods and whatever. Whereas he was like an oven chips, chicken nuggets and chips kind of guy.
Yeah.
And like to the point where I would say, I will teach you how to make spaghetti bolognese. I remember being like, I want you to cook at least once a week. Can you imagine like actually being in a relationship and asking a 25-year-old to cook once a week? And the reply I got was, well, on that night week we'll just have to get a takeaway because I'm not cooking. Jesus
wept.
Yeah, so there was loads and loads and loads of other stuff that went on in that, but all in all, just not a good time for BB. BB was not thriving. And to like look on that difference from like a year is actually like insane. It's happiness glow up.
Yeah, happiness is the best accessory.
Happiness is the best accessory.
Because you didn't intentionally change anything apart from the things that would bring that bring you down.
So this is what happened so basically I was going to the doctors. I had a cervical cancer scare, and she was like, you know, they go in the symptoms. She goes, unexplained weight loss, and I was like, well, my clothes are a bit looser, but I guess that's just shops changing their sizes. You know what they're like, they're so unreliable. And she was like, get on the scales. And I was like, okay, I never, ever, ever weigh myself. But I knew what I was because I'd scanned myself. No, I'd weighed myself at the gym once. And I got on there. And because when you get your pill, they ask for your weight.
Okay.
So she knew what my personal weight, my previous was on the system. And she was like, this is saying this. She was like, you've lost 10 kilograms. Have you intentionally been losing weight? And I was like, no, like I maybe have like a slightly longer walk to the station by like 5 minutes in the morning. But then that for me, look back and I was like, oh my God, this is me coming out of this unhealthy state.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like intentional, but like for me to then gradually go back to my size of how I was before, how I have been my whole life, makes me feel like so much more myself and happier and confident. For me to go from that shape to how I am now brings me so much happiness, but not because I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't want to,
exactly
you know what I
mean.
mean? Like I'm coming from an aspect of
you feel like you've got back to the person that you were.
Yeah.
And what that person represented, including the fact that you didn't feel as good in yourself and less healthy, etc., for you represented a time in your life which was quite negative and toxic.
Yeah,
and you've almost shed the skin of that negativity and toxicity and moved into being back to yourself.
That's exactly it. There's confidence things within that as well, because when I posted like this photo, when I did like it was like in lockdown, there's a photo of me, what I looked like when I went to a Pilates class and I took a mirror selfie, and that was when I was in that relationship.
Yeah.
Compared to like, I mean, I guess it must have been like a year, and the difference. And I posted that, and after I actually ended up deleting it. I've got a lot of replies back, but I ended up deleting it because anything I do, even when I speak or say anything about this relationship, I actually get really bad anxiety because they were so horrible that I'm like, I'm scared that if I say something, they will see it and I'll get like, they're blocked and everything. The only thing they can do is email me. There was a period of time where I would just get abusive emails constantly. So that's why I get like stressy. And then I also thought, I was like, I don't want people to, no one knows the backstory behind it. Like people may look at that and be like, oh my God, wow, like, she's lost like XYZ. Maybe it's because like she does couch to 5K or whatever. And I was like, actually, do you know what? It's not. Like everyone has their own journey and own story behind it. And that's what you don't see on social media, because I could never, I mean, I guess I like this platform. And I know that they're never going to listen to this because, I mean, if you broke up with me,
you don't want to hear our life stories.
Why do you want to listen to my voice for an hour every week? So I feel that's why I feel like confident on doing it on this platform. But there is just a story behind everything, and that's what stresses me out, that people on social media don't see. Yeah,
that's why I feel really comfortable to be open on this platform.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly that. Where my body transformation came from was from hurt, you know? And no one knew that. No one had any idea.
Actually,
No one had a clue in the world.
And I can actually totally relate to that. It's you're taking back control of your life.
That was...
God, the pennies just dropped for me.
Like, I spent hours in therapy trying to work out why. And then when I was sexually assaulted again, it was 1 year later, exactly... pretty much the same week 1 year later.
No way.
And that's when my disordered eating disorder problems really took full front on. I just went into this hellhole because that was like an extreme way of taking back again and control, because also I'd learned from being complimented so much that was what would bring me happiness.
Shit.
And that's because you live in a world where, like, I look at pictures of people and think that's the ideal body. I think as well, maybe being gay has something really big to do with it as a male.
Do you think?
Because it's male to male.
Yeah.
So I'm comparing myself to any partner I have, or comparing myself to anyone I date, or comparing myself, because it's not the opposite gender, it's someone who has the same technical bits and pieces.
Yeah, shit.
So I think that might come into it as well. It's just loop around, and now I'm in a place where for the first time, and this is something that is really hard to talk about actually, is I've been diagnosed with an eating disorder for 3 years. 2018 was when I got a diagnosis. Yeah. And that was just after I had plastic surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So I had surgery to try and remove all the loose skin that was left from 10 stone of weight loss, because I lost it in very, very quickly. And just after that, I was at home, and my eating problem was severe at post-surgery. And it was this pressure to think that I've just left what someone would consider as an appearance surgery, and I don't look thin. And this pressure built up to move back to London, have all this other stuff. And then it ended up with me finally getting a diagnosis. And I remember feeling like a fraud, because I would think, I'm not thin enough for someone to actively have a conversation where I can admit that I have an eating disorder without someone laughing in my face. Because of the picture of what an eating disorder is.
You think anorexic?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like someone's bulimic who's stick thin, yeah.
Mine was originally atypical anorexia, but then it turned into non-purging bulimia. That was what I got diagnosed with. Because it wasn't sickness, it was, I'd go through long periods of starving myself and long periods of over-excess, and it was that up and down. But I was almost ashamed and embarrassed, because I felt like, who is going to look at me and think that I should be justified to speak like that when I look like this?
Aww.
And that's again about the media and perception of what is an eating disorder and what we're told something should be or should look like. But for me, my big thing at the moment, obviously, I've had a few lapses, but I haven't had a relapse, and it's been the longest period of time. And lockdown very much helped me through that. I was doing therapy and it ended halfway through, and I'm very aware of like disordered eating.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have an unhealthy relationship with food. I wish that I could wake up every day and not think about food, but I know that probably for the rest of my life, it's always going to be a question mark.
One day you might.
No, always, but I think I have to kind of accept it. And I have to try and learn from it and work with it.
Yeah.
And I think I spent so long trying to fight against it that now maybe the fact that I've managed to do this long, and I'm determined to. There might be ups and downs and all that other stuff, but I'm really determined to try and like put my life first and happiness first, and everything else can come second. That just to be aware of the little tricklets, and disordered eating is always stemmed from, I think, comes from being told that food is bad, being peer pressured into what you should and shouldn't eat, told something's a treat, cheat meal, all that other stuff. And we need to erase all of those words and just try and find like a balanced lifestyle where we don't judge ourselves on eating an extra fry one night, or not exercising one day, or not feeling our best, or having a spot on our chin, or anything like that. Just be happy that we're alive, breathing, and we're us.
Preach it, sister. But what do you think about...
That was like a TED talk. God, Rob.
What do you think about like exercising? Because sometimes I see people on Instagram and be like, treating myself for this after this morning's run or whatever. Yeah. Or they'll post their Fitbit and it'll be like, oh, burning off this brunch. That's
I've really done that.
Bad.
I mean, I'll be really honest, full up front, I still spend 2.5 hours a day in the gym.
Yeah.
Which isn't healthy. No. It's not. But that's like the next step of something to try and conquer, and that's what I'm working on. it shouldn't be a plus and a minus. Things don't have to
Yeah.
always take away, or, oh, I'm going to have this, oh, God, I'm so guilty, I need to go to the gym today, oh, I ate so much last night, da, da, da. It's like we're always, being our own worst critics and going against our bodies.
Yeah.
But also, like, exercise for me is the best mental health reset I have.
Do you know, yeah.
Some people can find that in reading. Some people can find that in listening to
everyone
music.
has it differently.
And for me, I'm such a cardi ho. I've said this before, say it again. Cardi ho. I should put that in my bio on Instagram. Like that, like an hour, even just an hour with headphones in, just sweating out is like my therapy each day. I literally love it. But it's addictive, like everything is.
It's interesting because I've only recently started going to the gym. So obviously, you know, in lockdown I had my running accident.
Yeah.
So I find it hard to run outside. It is actually a bit of PTSD.
Oh, absolutely.
And I go to my gym because they do yoga, Pilates, bar. They do the classes I like. And basically, I went on the treadmill because I was like, actually, it's the outside, it's the uneven ground that scares me.
Yeah.
So I've tried to get back into running like on the treadmill first, and hopefully I'll be able to then go outside. But the whole reason why I started exercising, and do you know what it is? I don't want to lose weight. I like the size I am, and I like how my body looks. But I guess there's some things I'm like, I want to get strong. Like I want to tone up a little bit. And this is like really weird that I have this mindset. I think I have this fear. I feel like no one actually knows this. It's almost like I've already accepted it that one day I'll have cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's basically like being surrounded by cancer because my mum, when I was in year 3 at school, that's when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then it went away, and then it came back, and then she died when I was like in year 10. So it's a huge bit of my upbringing.
Yeah.
And my grandma had breast cancer. My mum had breast cancer.
Okay.
And there was tests done, and it's not genetic, but there's just like, great, you've got a family history of breast cancer. And like I've had like a cyst on my ovary before, that was non-cancerous, and then I had the cervical cancer scar. I don't know, it's just really weird. It's like, because they say cancer is like 1 in 2 people, I just mentally I'm like accepted one day I'll have it. And when that day comes, I don't want to look back and regret things I could have done to not prevent it, because you can't prevent cancer, but like no one really knows this, but when mum was getting some treatment, we actually, like the whole house of it, like her, went vegan. And it was before veganism was what it is today.
Yeah.
And it actually like really, really helped. So I do think there is definitely some things which do make it worse, like sugars, cancer feeds off sugar. Like there's just random facts I know just from growing up in it.
Yeah.
And if that happened to me one day, I would look back and I would be like, do you know what? I could definitely have exercised more. Like I eat well, but I'm not healthy. Like I'm not fit. So that's why I actually exercise, because I just know that if that day was to come, this is a bizarre mindset, but
no, it makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't regret. It's quite interesting. And I think how you say that, you know, people kind of have like a therapy session that can be reading, that can be reading, whatever. It wasn't until when I started surfing over lockdown. Oh my God, that is so good for my mind. I have never felt so calm, because you're in the sea, you are, the only thing you have to, you're concentrating on the waves, your board, you know, your posture, like on it, like that is, your mind is so focused on something, and that, as well as reformer Pilates, you're focused on your breathing. Like there's just different things you find.
But what you've said, I think, is like, actually, you don't want to look back with regrets. And I want to look back at my like younger years and think, I did lose 3 years. I did. I lost 3 years where I was not a happy person. I was in a hole. People around me supported me a lot through it, but I don't want to lose any more time. You want to think, if the past, and you're looking back in the past and you weren't happy with what was there, you don't want to think that you're wasting one more day feeding into that negativity.
Yeah.
So my whole thing now is just every day, like moving forward, keep pushing and try and not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
And there'll be ups and there'll be downs, and there'll be days where you don't feel your best, and there'll be days where you want to watch, well, won't watch Harry Potter yet.
I don't watch Harry Potter. I watch
some days you want to watch Harry Potter and sit under your duvet and like wear a face mask, and some days you want to go and be a social butterfly. But as long as you're not hard on yourself, and as long as you're working to be the happiest version of yourself you can be, that's all that you can do.
Do you know what's so true? Like I say this, like especially with girls and their periods, like they just affect you mentally so much. And one day, us girls in the house, our periods are going to sync. But at the moment, they're like a couple of days apart.
Okay.
So we all go through phases, and like when it's your period, you put on weight. Oh God, your weight fluctuates so much, but you just crave, you feel so different. And it's like, do you know what? I used to really kind of bug myself down a bit if I would be like a bit of a pig if I'm having chocolate, which is so bad. And I'll be like, do you know what? At this point, I'm just allowing it. I've learned and I've accepted there'll be 1 week every month where I'll be very off. I will either want to not get out of bed or I'll want to go to the gym every day. It changes each month.
Yeah.
And it cracks us up because one of us in the house will get a McDonald's and we'll come downstairs and Meg will just look at me and she went, "You're on your period." Like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Like, I will have a McDonald's breakfast followed by a McDonald's dinner. It's not every day. It's not really great for me.
But it's great for your mental health on that day.
Exactly. That's what I wanted that day. And I can't beat myself up about that. It's ridiculous, right? I can't beat myself up over bloody a cheeseburger, even when I'm supposed to be a vegetarian, a flexitarian diet. But actually, like, I think that's what you said. I feel like I've had like an epiphany on this podcast. So like how you're talking about you got into it because you were taking back control on your life. I guess for me, because when I was in this relationship, I always wanted to not eat meat. And then one of the first things I did when I got out of it was say, actually, I'm going to go pescatarian. And for me, because that's something I always wanted. And maybe that's why even then I feel even happier now because I do have that control back.
I personally live in the mantra of loving yourself may be too hard, accepting yourself should be enough.
Absolutely.
And learning to be content is what will make you happy.
This is what it is. It's like, someone said to me, do you love your body? But like, do I love that it keeps me alive and healthy every day? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So are we going to talk about it in that sense, or are we going to talk about it in physical appearance?
It's
like, it's a whole thing. Whereas body content, I'm so hit for that. I don't stand in front of the mirror and pick things apart. I go and think, God bloody hell, you're looking way bloated today. And then I'll be like, oh, actually, you haven't done a morning poo.
Literally.
Do you know what it is? Like,
do you know what I just recommend? Honest to God, if you're feeling a bit crappy in yourself, and I've started doing this, just dance around your room naked to a good song.
Oh my God, I champion this. Absolutely.
Literally, twerk, pose, all that other stuff.
Should we talk about, like, because I feel like we've really opened up about these things, like, guess, like, more confident side?
I think so. I think absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I kind of do, there's this whole thing of when you do see these people on social media or you follow girls, and, you know, sometimes it is quite hard. You see them, you go, oh my God, she's, like, stunning. But then there's also people will start to nitpick negative things to then, if they think, oh, I'll think negative of that, be like, oh God, that dress is vile, I'd never wear that, to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And you create negative mindset.
Yeah.
And this is why I had I gave Meg a bollocking for this. We were in the Uber and I was sat next to her and Al, and Meg was like, oh, like, why would you get your hair cut like that? Da-da. And then she said to me, I was like, oh, but da-da-da. And I was like, stop being negative.
Yeah.
I was like, you are being so negative right now. I was like, you need to look at people, pick something else, pick something in that photo you like, and it'll make you feel better about yourself. Honestly, go and look at all the nice things and the positive things, and you will start to feel a more positive person. And I was like, go on. Say something nice. I do not want to hear any more negativity in this Uber.
What I was interested in, so it's really great that you've had that mindset. Did you always have that?
No. So this is, when did I start to get like this? I think it was when I was in that relationship and I was like, I was just neggy. When I would go to work, everyone at work was like, you are so positive. In that job, there was a lot of problem solving and a lot of shit shows that went wrong. And I mean, you could easily just be negative. And I was just like, I need to be positive in this because so many things go right. You've just got to think like, I can do it. I can get through this. And that's when I started to develop like the positive like mindset. And I think it was because obviously I lived with my ex and I just knew that as soon as I get through that front door, it would be negative.
Yeah.
So like, I guess that was my escape at work. And I was like, do you know what? I love this time because I'm not with that person, that I will make this the best time. And even though that job was fucking horrendous at times, I could basically just make it much better for myself. Then when I came out of the relationship, which like, it's not like, okay, I walked that close and I walked into this brand new life, because there was stuff that went on for months and months and months. And it wasn't until January this year that I actually got left alone from the person.
One positive for 2020.
One positive for 2020, yeah.
Count them.
Love it. And that's when I started to like think like, okay, I've done well, like I've got out of it. There was one point in time I never thought this would happen. I can do this. And it's all about telling yourself, like, I can and not I can't. Like, it's just no. Like, there's just no, there's no can't. And I say this to my friends all the time. You know, when we go through shit and it's like, why is this happening to me? Oh my God. It's like, no, it's not that. It's, what is this teaching me?
Yeah.
What can I learn from this? And like this year at work, because I'm so grateful to have a job, like given the fact I was bloody redundant at the start of the year, when you work in communication, like coronavirus, there's been restructures, there's been crisis comms, there's been so much stuff. And I could easily sit there and be like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Oh my God, and it's, no, shit, this is great. This is 10 years experience in 5 months. Like, this is insane. And if you just start to like think about things more positive, I just can't emphasize enough, you will start to think better.
Yeah.
And I guess it's turning into positivity, but within that comes confidence. What do you do to like feel confident?
I don't feel confident. And it's something that
Sorry, I've had that reaction, so I just wasn't expecting you to say that.
No, because when I really think about it, it's not at all. And I think that comes from, obviously, I think because over the past 4 years or 5 years, I don't recognize the person I was before all of that, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am after all of that.
Yeah.
And if I look at different points of years over the past 4 years, I was a different person at every single stage. Because I was like up, down, here, there, everywhere, happy, sad, I feel like I'm still now trying to sort of figure out who I am to then try and build confidence in that.
Yeah.
And I think what gives me confidence is being surrounded by people who I can be my full, authentic, open self with.
Yeah.
And like the fact that I've got amazing friends that I can turn to and just say, oh, this week it's not been that well. And they literally give me a reality check straight on. Like we had a conversation after we recorded the last podcast, and you said to me, that's food that's control. We need to break this down. Do you remember?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because I struggle to eat at other people's homes. It's just something I hate.
Yes, you were saying, because you were like, and you were talking about Nando's as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is because
of control.
You don't have control over what's going in that food.
And that's like where my food habits and like even my Nando's order that everyone ripped to shit.
Yeah.
It's because I know exactly what's where.
And I was like, that makes total sense. I was like, that's why you have the most basic Nando's, because you know exactly what is in it. Whereas
So
if
true.
they put a bit of peri-peri or whatever, it's going to freak you out because you don't know what's in that.
And that's why I get my salt on the side and I put the amount that I know I want on everything. And there's just little things that make you comfortable and breaking down those walls, but having friends I can talk to about things like that and it just can say it straight away, and having a support network is what gives me confidence.
And this is why you should never, ever, ever, ever compare yourself to other people, because we are the same age, we're from the same place, we're different, we're boy and girl, but if you like, look, well, they're the same age as me, I'm at a different place confidence-wise as to what you are at. And I just think, even that Nando's backstory, just never compare yourself to someone. Everyone is so different, and everyone has their own way of just doing things.
But don't get me wrong, I rate my Nando's order.
Oh, I mean,
everyone else thinks it's bullshit, but
you can do you, boo. Like, do you know what I'm getting roasted for at the minute?
What?
So I love some Olivia Neal, who's like my favourite YouTuber, even though she's like 19. It's a bit weird to watch 19-year-olds on YouTube.
I can't watch people younger than me.
No, but she's so funny.
Okay.
And it's really weird. She's my old boss's niece. Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I have avocado on toast with like salt, pepper, garlic, and like garlic salt and chili flakes and baked beans on top. She has it, and I was like, I'm going to try that. It is so yummy, so yummy. The amount of people who tell me off when I post that on Instagram, be like, that is vile. Guys, it bangs, honestly. But there is this thing, like, do you believe in like manifesting and stuff like that?
Yeah, I want to make a vision board.
Yeah, so like there's things I've like manifested. I haven't done it all the way down into write it down, do vision board, whatever. But I really, really, really do believe in that, because there's like things that would have happened. To say, for example, when I was having my interview for my John Lewis job, I was sat in reception, I was like so nervous, and I was like, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to go in there. And whilst I was waiting for them to come down and collect me from reception, I just, in my head, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to smash it. I'm going to get this job. Literally it was like less than 12 hours later, got offered the job. And I was like, shit, that is because if I'm sat there saying I'm going to get this, I'm going to go in there for positive aura.
Yeah.
If I broke myself down and be like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to get this job, like, oh my God, I'm terrible, I hate interviews. Because trust me, I hate job interviews. If I went in with that, they would know straight away I'm a bit timid, like I'm a bit nervous. They would pick up on these things and they'd pick up on the aura. And that for me was when I realised, shit, this whole thinking positive thing really works.
It's like manifesting. So I actually find, for me, writing is so important.
Is it?
So in therapy, in this last batch of therapy, I am, not to drone on about therapy, but in the last batch of therapy, we had a topic and I had to write, "Dear eating disorder, thank you for," and "Dear eating disorder, I hate you for." Ooh. And I had to write a letter to the eating disorder that I'd gone through to basically say, thank you for giving me X, Y, and Z. And to be honest, that was way easier.
Yeah.
And writing down, it's very emotional. I wouldn't read it on this, but it's like thanking it for everything it gave me and the ability to feel like I was in control through all this turmoil and all that other stuff, and actually getting that down on a piece of paper and reading it back and saying, wow, the reason I'm so connected to this and the reason why I'm so feel like it's almost holding my hand is because it's been the output to so much other hurt and pain.
Yeah.
And then writing the opposite and saying, you have taken my life from me. You are in control. I feel like you're the uninvited guest at every event I ever attend, and I can't get rid of you. And then looking at that and saying, this is what I feel is detracting from my life, and having it in writing, and then looking back at it, especially with like a day break, and then looking back and then I read it out loud to myself.
Wow.
It changed my entire outlook on my entire, the way of like recovery has gone.
Wow.
And that's why I really want to start writing a journal.
Do you know what? Oh, this is actually so bad. I started to write a diary, but I used to write it of all the things that my ex had done to me in case anything ever happened one day.
Oh, really?
And people, like, I wanted people to know, like, my side of the story. And if anything was to happen, that it was proof that it was happening.
Oh my God.
I don't know, that just all came back to me.
No.
Yeah.
Do you still have it? Not to be,
I would never go back and read it.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. But I think it was because it's strange, but like I would like love to write a journal, more so because when it was lockdown, one day I got really sad about my mum not being around, and I was like, do you know what? I just want to like, I was in my house and I was like, I just want to like look back on photos of like what her life was like. Maybe she was my age or whatever. And I found like her diary of when she was a stylist, and I had like, all her stylist appointments and everything. And I was like, this is so cool to go back and look at. And I was like, do you know what? Like, I would love to have a journal. But also, I think if you were to read it back in like a couple of years, to see how far you've come.
And there might be a certain point in your life where you can look at that photo of you with the no makeup on and look back at that journal.
Yeah.
And you probably won't recognize that you were that person, but you can recognize that you became the person you are from going through that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's weird how like life shapes you as well.
The cards you're dealt may not be fair, but once you get through them, I do feel like you have like the badge of armor and you can be stronger and you'll prove. No, nothing in life's easy.
But also I think when you go through things in these big life journeys, you learn so much from it. Like going through the death of my mum was horrendous, but now I know like about how bad life can get. And if anything, it taught me, like, I think I touched on this in life lessons, I think, how like if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be as motivated as what I am now. And it's all going back to positive mindset of, it's not why is this happening to me, it's what is this teaching me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that might be the perfect way to end this topic.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I honestly feel like I've had a therapy session on this. I actually feel quite good.
Me too. And I feel like hopefully you'll be able to like relate to things we've talked about.
I feel a bit scared because I've like really, really, really opened up about things that strangers are going to know about me.
I didn't think I could get more nervous than the poo story on the South Bank that had me up all night. This is a lot.
I'm a bit nervous, but I do think though I just feel better knowing that there's probably at least one person out there who can relate to at least one thing we've said and feel better.
And we're jumping off the bridge holding hands in this together.
We are. I mean, oh my God, I am like, I'm like a bit terrified. Yeah, I'm nervous.
I feel like we've talked a lot, got it all out of our chests.
Yeah.
Had a very open and honest mental health, except the skin you're in conversation.
Yeah.
And we'll be back. I'm going to quickly try and think of a bitchy gal code rule to lighten this section up.
I know. Oh my God, I've got a funny story to tell.
Okay, so we're going to go and come back. We'll see you very soon.
Yeah. Loving what you hear? I mean, obviously, head straight over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a little rating and review. I mean, if you're extra special, we'll put your review on a tile on our Instagram grid at the Gal Code Podcast. Thanks!
And we are back with our Gal Code rules for the week.
I do have a quick funny story that just came to me.
I'm here for it. I need it.
So you know on the bonus episode, how we had like Meg's poo story?
Yeah.
And then I completely forgot that I then told my poo story.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was with Mike, my date, he was quite interested in the podcast.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, you need to listen to this story. Because I was like, don't listen to the podcast. Like, you'll know, wait, I'm such an oversharer. You will know too much about me. Way. Don't listen. And I was like, wait, no. My housemate, I had to get her on to tell this story because it is so funny. And I put it on, like we were listening. And then he found it like hilarious. Like he was literally like, keeled over laughing. And then I just remembered what comes next. Because then I was thinking, oh yeah, let's break down the headlines. It's fine. And then I was like, No. I never sprinted over to my bed to grab my phone. So much mine. I was like, and that's all you're hearing.
That's all you're hearing.
Oh my God. Hi. Really nice. Like to meet you. Love going on dates with you. Did you listen to me telling everyone that I shit myself?
You
want to take me on another day?
Yeah, you take me again. You'll never see me the same way again.
I mean, that's the story to lighten up the mood after that long DMV.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, do you want to go first with yours?
Yeah, mine's not a rule, but it follows on from the Madison restaurant story with the guys.
Okay.
And it's just a saying that became our slogan of the night, which I just think is funny. And I feel like it's more of a Gal Code dictionary rule, but it's fit from far, but far from fit.
Fit from far, but far from fit.
Yeah,
love that so
they're fit from afar,
That's
but they are far from fit.
That's a good saying.
And like that is just gals. We just don't want. Like I was honestly fully like, oh my God, they are like some minted city boys. Like defo a bit of posh boy vibe up close. Absolutely not. Could not be more polar opposite. Fit from far, but far from fit.
Love that. My one is I'm stealing it from you in the middle of this conversation.
Scandalous.
I loved it so much. Don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Is that right?
Absolutely. Don't you sleep over the opinions of sheep.
Don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a fabulous rule.
I'm more than happy for that to be the Gal Code rule.
But that
and
has
then
to be a
fit from
saying.
far from fit can go on the dictionary.
I love our dictionary, by the way.
It's so funny.
It's so good. Okay, so we'll co-share that one because you did come up with it.
Yeah, I said it.
But then you said it, but I was thinking it.
I didn't copyright it. I've gave you permission to use it. We can agree.
A little joint one for episode 12. That is our Gal Code rule for the week. Do you want to say it or shall I?
Well...
You can say the first sentence and I'll say the second sentence. Okay.
Don't lose sleep
over the opinions of sheep.
Oh God, I think, could that be a ringtone?
Oh my God, every time I get a text.
I've got a text. Don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Can you even change your ringtone anymore? Is that like, did we leave that
Probably
in like
on
2000s?
The new iOS one.
Have you updated your new?
No.
I keep seeing like new like home screens and they look so pretty. Then people are like, I've just spent 3 hours doing this. I'm like, do you know what, hun? Love that for you, but I do not have 3 hours.
I definitely have 3 hours. So maybe I'll do it this week and I'll report back. We'll be right back.
For you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Gal Code.
It was a bit of like a very, very, very long DMC. But you know what? I feel like we're balanced on this. Like, we're here for the lols, but we're also here to address the deep shit that we all go through as humans.
Yeah, The Gal Code is an open book.
It is.
Ooh!
Oh, love that.
On brand to the end.
Right, we'll be back next week for a brand new episode.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.